Hello, dear friends, my lovely audiences, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the East West Show. Jack Zhao with G&E TV on the East West Show for many, many years. And I would like to introduce you, my Lawai friend. I'm a Lawai, as a matter of fact. All right. And Mr. Chris Nebe. He is the founder and the CEO of Monarch Rex Corporation of Hollywood, a film director. And also, he is a political commentator. In my eye, often, he is a fighter for justice. He has the gut, he has the brain. Most importantly, he has the gut and the brain, right? So, sir, welcome to the show.
谢谢你, Jack Zhao. I thank you for the compliment. Much appreciated.
All right, thank you very much. And I speak the truth, nothing but the truth. I swear, swear in court that I speak nothing but the truth. Right.
非常好.
Mr. Chris Nebe has a huge reputation, and his film credit goes like a monument. And he has, over the years, created a documentary series of Mysterious China that had 19 episodes already. Each episode 40 minutes to an hour long. And I went through almost every one of those wonderful films. And a few weeks ago, there was a little party in his studio, and lots of VIPs showed up. And we had a very good time talking about him, his creativity, and his masterpieces. Once again, congratulations to you for having achieved that much.
Once again, thank you very much, Jack Zhao. I appreciate the compliment.
Very good, very good. And speaking of United States, though, I really try so hard to bring, when I say I mean my team and I, to bring information necessary for you to know that I believe that you deserve to know. And some of the informations are very cheerful, and some are not. Some are even said, but you deserve to know. There is a term lately being brought up. It was first created by Senator of Kentucky, Mr. Rand Paul. Rand Paul of Kentucky, as a senator of the United States, he pointed out that there is a new political phenomenon that's on the rise called deep state, D-E-E-P, state, S-T-A-T-E. Right? So when I first saw that term, I was really shocked, especially when I went through with the details of those examples of how deep, how whatever the state is, the state had been. I was so unbelievably shocked. So to my friend, Chris, I would like to start it with your introduction about the definition of deep state, please.
Yes, before I would like to share with your audience.
There is a good news I would like to share with you.
Yes.
About the wedding dress, right?
Right.
Oh my God.
I would like to share with your audience something because I'm sure they appreciate that. You have heard that about the wedding taking place, the royal wedding on this coming Saturday on May 19th.
The whole world is talking about it.
The whole world is talking about it, but actually it's very sad because the downfall of the British royalty has finally gained momentum. I wrote a little note, and it is published by the Business of Film as a headline at the Cannes Film Festival this year. And the note reads as follows, and I like to share this with you, and I would appreciate your comments if you agree with Shaq and me that this is for sure called an immoral wedding dress. The downfall of the British royal family has finally gained momentum. Nothing demonstrates the downfall of the British royal family more clearly than the fact that a bit Hollywood actress, that clawed herself into dubious fame is paying over 100,000 pounds sterling, that is more than US dollar $135,000 for her wedding dress. Despite of the fact that this is an obscene amount of money to pay for a wedding dress, it is also a slap in the face of the many disenfranchised and poverty-stricken families in the UK. This vast amount of money could have fed thousands of hungry kids in Britain for many months. I'm surprised that nobody from the royal family reined in this upstart American who is now casting a long and ugly shadow over the British royal family. It clearly shows that their days of moral authorities are over.
All right, okay. That's a very good start. As a matter of fact, if I stretch it, it has even connection with the subject today.
Maybe, yes.
Right? Okay, not only in Britain, we're talking about here in the United States.
Yes.
Right?
Those in power, they do what they want.
The culture of celebrity, the celebrity culture is kind of getting us killed.
Right.
And you exactly mentioned about that 100,000 British pounds, which is equivalent to 135,000 US dollars of a wedding dress, would have fed 1,000 of homeless kids.
Yes.
Right? And will take care of a school.
Right.
Of a problem, or some needy families.
It's obscene.
Right? So, after all, it's only a wedding.
Yeah.
It's a wedding, right? It's a dress.
For one time
it's
wearing.
Only for one time wearing.
It's
right
obscene.
Now. Okay, now, let alone the British royal family is on the downturn.
Right.
Let alone the British economy is on the downturn. Let alone the whole world economy is on a downturn. Suppose we did have the $100,000, could we use it elsewhere?
Yes.
That is a big question.
Right.
That is a big question. And yet, people are following it.
Yes.
Like crazy. They're talking about the design, the color, the way, the waist, the
Very
chest, and they whatever. So, it is the culture. I'm talking about the celebrity culture is getting us rotten.
Right.
Also, for example, in other countries, in several countries, you see the corrupt officials. You see their sons and daughters, right? You see their sons and daughters. I used to say to my son, and I still do so. I said, trust me, I am your dad. Is the hardest working man on the global earth, right? And you see my well-being, my well-being. This is exactly, and the hardest working people is worth that can earn. Anything above that, no. I don't think that's legal, right? So, look at her herself, right? What has she done rather than she who gets married, she is getting married to somebody, right? So without that, there's nothing about her.
Right.
There's nothing about her. Not the dress, not even the name, nothing. Just a girl on the street, right? So that's exactly what we are talking about. We're saying that the money being squandered.
Right.
By rich people, and also by power.
Right.
By power, I mean to use taxpayers' money to do the meaningless things, such as the deep state we're talking about.
The immoral wedding dress. Yeah.
And such as the deep state, they belong to the same thing.
Right. You're right.
Belong to the same family.
A recent poll by the Monmouth University Polling Institute in New Jersey shows that the American public is very troubled and skeptical of unelected government and military officials, as well as billionaires, collectively called deep state, who secretly are pulling the levers of power in Washington by manipulating and directing national policy as well as organizing the surveillance of United States citizens.
And prior to the show, I checked about all kinds of dictionaries. I mean, in addition to website dictionaries, I physically checked about different dictionaries, including the Webster's dictionary. I found out the definition of deep state, right? There are different ways of explaining it, but the most meaningful way is to say it is a state within a state.
That's it.
It is a country within a country. If it is a village, you're talking about it's a village within a village. If it is power, you're talking about a power within the power.
Right.
So that is what deep state exactly is talking about. So for that, my dear friends, today I have my brother Chris Nebe here to talk about the issue of deep state. It might look new to you, but the facts are not new. The facts are there that you are aware of. Let's take a very short moment out. When we come back, we will continue to find what exactly they do with the deep state or within the circle of their deep state. Stay with us. Hello, lovely friends, ladies and gentlemen, my dear audiences, my lovely fellow Americans. Welcome back to the talk about America. In America, we have a phenomena that is so far hidden without the public knowing very much. However, researchers and politicians have noticed that and pointed out it is heading to a very dangerous direction that will, in the long run, hurt this country, hurt our liberty, hurt our Constitution, the whole system that we have been building up for 148 years. Right. So with me is my good friend, Chris Nebe, and political commentator, filmmaker, and to me is a fighter of justice. He has the guts, the knowledge, and well, he cares about it. So we brought this to you in a discussion called the deep state. So how deep?
Interesting enough, Jack, this is not a democratic or Republican issue. The public concern spans the entire political spectrum. So it has nothing to do with either party. It's above both. And the recent polls paint a pretty grim picture of trust in the government and our media. Perhaps deep media should be a term to be added to deep state. As far as the deep state is concerned, Americans are expected to learn to walk in lockstep with government rules. If not, the government will lock down the entire nation at the slightest provocation. The government is ready, willing, and able to impose martial law within 24 hours. That's a fact. And it's mentioned by Paul Rand in his recent article, which you have here. This disturbing recent survey of the Monmouth University Polling Institute in New Jersey concludes that a large bipartisan majority of Americans already recognizes the dangers posed by the government that is not only tracking the citizens, but also is being controlled by the deep state. It is important to understand the effective strategies of the deep state elite. Who are they?
Yes, yes. Speaking of who are they, Senator Paul mentioned in his speech. As a matter of fact, he was at a hearing of Senate committee hearing about that. He says only 8 people of the Congress know what they do. Right. So
8?
who
Oh
are
my
the 8
God.
people? Do you know who the 8 people
No,
are?
I don't.
We don't know. Okay.
But that's very sad.
That's very sad.
I don't know how many people are in Congress. Over 400, right?
There are 435 representatives and 100 senators. In other words, there are 535 altogether. There's always some absence, 1 or 2 or 3 something. So anyway, 530 will be safe, right? Among all these, there are only 8 people know what they do. For example, to give you the investigation, right? Talking about the alleged Russian connections between Donald Trump and Russia. So nobody knows what they do. They were on their own. They are still on their own. So that is taken in your article within the range of the deep state.
Right.
Because it goes beyond the supervision of your checks and the balance system. Am I right?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, please.
You see, the imminent destruction of our freedom is the driving force of the insane greed of this elite. They want endless personal privileges, corporate profits, and political control. The billionaire elite and the major multinational corporations constitute the Anglo-Zionist lobby and the military-industrial complex in the United States, also identified as the deep state. I repeat, the Anglo-Zionist lobby, the military-industrial complex, multinational corporations, and the billionaire elite. They are the deep state.
In other words, it's not even a partisanship issue.
No, not at all.
No party at all.
Right.
Could be any party.
Right. And you see, the Anglo-Zionist lobby also is the reason why Israel, which is fully
Has the
supported
term
by them,
Anglo-Zionist been confirmed or being used by public,
Yes.
or your own term?
No, it's a term used by activists who are aware of that.
No, I know the term.
Yes.
I'm talking about the fact that you're using the term. Is that a term already being used by so many, or
it's
by
used.
you only, or a
No.
little group of people?
No, it's used in the media. It's used in the independent media a lot, also in the real media. Because you see, the insane support of the United States of America, which today is opening against the wish of any civilized nation in the world, the embassy in Jerusalem, while yesterday dozens of Palestinians in the apartheid state have been killed again because they're being shot at like animals. It's unbelievable. And
On the other hand, I mean, the President Trump certainly took sides, right, in the Israeli-Palestinian,
very bad.
in the Israeli-Palestinian
Very
struggle,
bad. Yeah.
which is been there ever as long as history.
70
right?
years.
You know what? On the other hand, you mentioned about the protests, the people dying, right?
Yes.
That's one side of the story.
Yeah.
The other side of the story, over the same issue though, they call to name the city, name Jerusalem, say Jerusalem Trump, right?
Yeah.
Or there's the other way to do it. Instead of Jerusalem, say they want to create another term, say Trumpolim or whatever, to replace Jerusalem.
Right.
Right. Of course, that will never fly though. But to indicate how exactly the taking sides of a U.S. president would bear of those big consequences.
Yeah, this is actually supporting apartheid because they are having, they're treating the Palestinians as totally rightless people. They're shooting children. It's unbelievable. It's disgusting. Anyhow, the billionaire elite and the multinational companies, the Anglo-Zionist lobby, and the military-industrial complex, if only a fraction of their vast fortunes would be devoted to programs of social uplift, then starvation, poverty, homelessness, no free health care, no free college education would vanish immediately.
You're right. I do agree with you. And here's somewhere I want to insert a little bit. So they're talking about somebody, some organization donated $150,000 to Donald Trump, to Donald Trump's charity, 2015. And the other side argued it is the same organization that donated $10 million to $25 million to Clinton Foundation. So they obviously want both parties.
Right. It's all follow the money. We have been talking about this for a long time, Jack.
It is money.
Always follow the money.
Follow the money. Yeah.
You see, like also environmental restoration projects, as well as research, development and implementation of visionary, sustainable environmental initiatives, and the rebuilding of a faltering national infrastructure would flourish instantly if the money of the people who constitute the deep state would flow in that direction. But it isn't. And you see, and primary servants of the global elite are corrupt politicians. Corrupt why? Because they progressively legislate to expand the elitist powers, profits, and privileges, for example, with tax cuts, at the expense of social services, among them education and healthcare, as it is and has happened with the last celebrated tax cut.
It looks to me that we have two circles.
Yes.
Right? Within the one circle, we're talking about United States, we're talking about democracy, we're talking everything, whatever, like we enjoy, the freedom there, so on and so forth. And inside there is a small circle, right? Whatever happens is that we, the people, only happen to be in the areas in between the first circle and the second circle. We're in this area, right? And then in the very circle, though, the regular people can never get in, can never be benefited off.
No.
Right?
They're forever shut out.
All right, forever shut out, forever isolated from that.
Right.
Yeah. For example, in this country, you can wage a war, such as Iraq war, and have the war contracted with a company, and the company could be Halliburton, and Jack Chow obviously is not the owner of Halliburton.
Yeah.
So that is how the small circle works.
Right.
Inside the big circle of a democracy. My dear friend, today with my brother Chris Nebe, a Hollywood director who has the height of looking over at the earth in a different way that I admire of. Let's take a very short moment out. We come back, we'll continue from that point on to find out how exactly it affects our life. Or does it affect our life, or nothing at all? It's just a fight among the rich. So stay with us. Hello, dear friends. Welcome back to the show. Jack Chow with my friend Chris Nebe, and Hollywood film creator, and he's also an archivist, and he does a lot of political study, social study, environmental study, even ecology study, which later on, or next week probably, we want to do a show about, talking about U.S., China, British, these three countries, how we handle ecology problem. And there's the balance to talk about. Once you break the balance, you just wait to die. That's my point. Okay, to the issue today, deep state. It is, well, when you open it, like a Pandora box, all kinds of things will come out. And otherwise, you don't see what's inside. It's a beautiful box, right? So once the only one is open. Now we're trying to crack a hole, or crack a little bit, to see what's inside. So with Chris Nebe, we're seeing now, bit by bit. Back to the point. The point was that there are two sayings about the deep state. They say, come on, that's only the within the small circles.
All for the benefit of the people.
All the benefit for their themselves. Whatever they do has nothing to do with us. We're the same rich, same poor, same nothing, good for nothing, bad for nothing people. This is one saying. The other saying is that we really want to crack it up and to bring it to the open to benefit the people, everybody, you, me, her. Right? So
I will tell you how all this happened. You see, from the end of World War II to the end of the Cold War, the US empire was driven by the increasing wealth and power of the multinational corporations that transferred profits from abroad to the US domestic economy and sustained a trickle-down effect on a blue-collar labor force, American blue-collar labor force, thus creating a modestly prosperous and happy American middle class. See? America dominated world trade and led global investments, as well as acting as a leading force, creating international financial institutions such as the World Bank, the IMF, and Wall Street.
Wall Street, yeah.
See?
I was just waiting for the big name.
Yeah. The Western world had become a unipolar state in which America was the sole dominant power, free to invade, conquer, and exploit any rival to sustain any rival. Yeah.
No. I want to do a little emphasis here.
Yeah.
If we are equally rich, we're equally strong, that's a nation. That's not a problem. That's what we are here for, right? Fact is that the poor gets poorer, the rich gets richer, and the fact is that when the richer you're talking about, the smaller are the group.
Yes.
Right? And then when you finally reach the richest though, you're talking about only a handful of people that control not only the United States, but the whole world.
Yes. And
that is the state.
That's it.
The state.
To sustain and further its global military dominance, Washington declared a worldwide war on terrorism, which accentuated the military dimensions of American omnipotency. You see, by all of a sudden now, America posed as the savior of the world versus terrorism. The unipolar vision of the American empire building.
Hold right there.
Yeah.
The outburst of the terrorism calls for U.S. attention, right? And the U.S. attention to the outburst of the terrorism caused the military production or industry to grow.
But it was an overreaction.
No. I'm not talking about over or not.
Yeah.
Or whether it's over or not.
Right.
I'm talking about the chain reaction.
That's
right?
correct.
The chain reaction because
Yes.
the military demand, right, over the military production or the industry. And who are the boss of the military industry? You?
No.
Me?
No.
Jonathan?
No.
Eric?
No.
Right? So, go ahead.
You
That's my question.
Yeah, you see, this unipolar vision of the American empire buildings led them to endless billion-dollar wars on terror, which in the long run has reduced U.S. economic competitiveness. You see, America is no longer competitive because military-induced deficits led to a huge national debt. This created the devastating recession of the 2008-2009.
Last time I was, you were there too. Remember former Commander Joe Shamas?
Yeah.
He mentioned about how many out of the United States, were all over the world, how many military bases we have?
Over 1,000.
Over 1,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see, this military-induced deficit led to a huge national debt. This created the devastating Great Recession of 2008 and 2009, and the decade-long trillion-dollar bailouts that continue to this day, because it's still not over. It's still an artificial situation, and numbers, like jobless numbers, they are all fixed. They don't reflect the real reality.
But anyway, starting with Trump, even that towards somewhere towards the end of the lame duck month of Obama, economy started to pick up, and unemployment rate has dropped, and now it has dropped to below 4%, which is extraordinarily good. So,
sounds very good, but you see, it's all low wage paying jobs. It's
okay, that could be a point. That could be a point.
So the military industrial complex is a major cost factor, not a benefit to the U.S. economy. Now the U.S. has redefined empire building by exploiting the domestic economy to militarize the empire itself. The United States has become Fortress Americana by starting to build real walls around a protectionist state, while at the same time creating more poverty by drastically reducing social welfare.
Internationally, I have no problem. We have no problem for the United States to be strong again.
Yeah.
Right? Like Donald Trump calls, let's make the United States strong.
Yeah.
Let's make America back, right? Okay. So that internationally is so right that we support. However, within United States, inside the United States, you don't want the people, United States people, the U.S. people, be exploited by the rich, so that the rich get richer, so that the poor gets poorer.
Yeah.
That is something totally wrong. And to do that, they run the deep state, inside the state, whatever. Yeah. That is totally, we want to dig it out.
Yeah.
Find out how to bring it to the sunlight.
The tax cut drastically reduced social welfare and education, as well as concentrating vast Wall Street wealth in the hands of the powers that be, namely the deep state.
This might not necessarily be the case. Recently, somebody has done a study. I don't have it with me today, but I did see it, that the tax cut did not hurt the economy.
No, not the economy, but it hurt social welfare and education, because the programs in the tax cut, those were the programs which were drastically cut.
And in the meantime, Donald Trump has started something brand new, which never anybody has tried before him. That is to negotiate about the medicine price with the big pharma himself. From government to the big pharma, with no salesperson, distributor, whatsoever,
Middleman, everything,
and then
yeah.
go there, sell it or not. Sell it to me at this price. This is the price I'm giving you, like that kind of thing. So you're talking about a shortage or whatever for medical care, for social medical care whatsoever.
Welfare,
No,
yes.
that might be a way to do it.
That is a good thing, which
Yeah,
he did.
good thing to happen. Yes.
And you see, but in the 20th century, America was very successful as a military and financial, with its program of military and financial global imperialism. But it was very short-lived, a short-lived success story, because with the rise of China and Russia in the 21st century, American exceptionalism is now facing a new and devastating reality.
They are using China only for an excuse.
Right.
China may develop. China may double themselves, may triple themselves, right? China has never invaded the United States.
No.
Right? And then when you do international trade though, well, you guys, it's on your own job to decide who sell what to who.
Right.
That's the whole thing.
Right.
So now, to the inside the state, the deep state people, they use China as only an excuse.
Also Russia.
Yeah. Also Russia.
As a whipping boy.
Look,
Yes.
China is
Yes.
rising up,
Yes.
and
Yes.
Russia is looking at us.
Yeah.
Whoever is staring at us, we must do this, must do that.
Yes.
No, they use that for excuse for their wrongdoings.
Because you see, after the fall of the Soviet Union, there was nobody challenging America, because Russia was no longer
And
there.
nobody is challenging
And
China.
China was not strong. Now, China and Russia have joined forces, and together are actually stronger than America.
China and Russia will never join forces. No, they will never.
But they did.
They may shake hands. They might smile at each other.
Yeah.
At the bottom level, the people don't like Russians.
I see, but I mean, the governments at least have.
The government is still do certain limit, right?
Well, let's say Putin and Xi Jinping have joined hands in many ways.
Yeah, they may shake hands.
Yes.
They may smile at each other. Well, if I were Xi Jinping, I would say, hey, give it back to me, my land. Well, Russia has taken lots of land from China. Okay.
I know.
My dear friend, we're dragging ourselves away. It looks sad. Well, we'll hold right there. Another show. So let's take a very short moment out. We'll come back to continue. Stay with us, please. Hello, dear friends, lovely audiences, my dear fellow Americans. Welcome back to the show. Jack Chow on the East West with the GNE TV with the subject today, Deep State. Join me in touching the Deep State subject is my friend Chris Nebe, a commentator, political commentator, wonderful commentator. I love him for his thought, and a film director and an archivist and researcher, and most importantly, he's a fighter for justice who I adore a lot. Right. So, back on the issue of deep state, we were talking about the small number of people forming a interest group inside the big environment to benefit themselves. They pick on all issues around them. Whichever necessarily taken become a big issue right away because they believe that will benefit from it.
Yeah.
Right. So you go back with your homework. Yeah.
You see, with the rise of Russia and China in the 21st century, American imperialism is now facing a new and devastating reality. Very simply, because with its speculative economy, a plundered public treasury, because you know there are trillions of dollars of debt, and a failing military industrial complex, America is preparing to plunge once again into a deep recession. Mark my words. You may not like to hear that, but this is a fact. The American middle class, once the backbone of a successful nation, is further deteriorating, with now almost 50 million disenfranchised citizens living below the official poverty line.
Well, that's why lots of legislators are pushing for bottom basic salaries, minimum salaries increase.
Right.
We're improving. So whatever we do in a bigger circle has totally nothing to do with them.
Correct.
In other words, they do not have to care about how people outside their circle is, striving to survive.
You hit it right on the point,
Right.
Jack.
Okay, to me, it's like this. It's a bigger circle like, oh my God, I do it so perfect, right?
Yes, and
and
a smaller
then
circle,
there is
right.
something here.
Right.
Okay, we belong here.
Yes.
Right? Whatever we do has nothing to do with them.
No.
Right.
Yeah.
They only look around to see what's important.
Right.
When they drag it, they will
them, yes,
benefit
yes,
themselves.
yes.
As how they do to themselves, we do not even know.
Correct. You know, and it seems to me, Jack, that the deep state elite is teetering now cluelessly at the abyss of disaster of their own making, which they can no longer control. You see, because they have lost control of something they didn't realize would happen. And faced with this insane elite and its many obedient servants, namely the politicians in Washington, as well as a largely consumption-addicted American population, what can you and I, we the people, do to stop who have the sanity and the foresight?
You got to call for transparency.
Yes, yes.
You have to go call. Let the Congress make a law. Let's do the transparency.
Right, but that will not happen.
Of course they will fight. No, of course they will fight.
Because
absolutely.
you see, because these are threats to the very survival of American people. Because this is getting out of hand, you see, and we need to, we the people, we need to tell you, the people, to mobilize and effectively campaign against war, corporate greed, racial inequality, injustice, rain enforcement, environmental destruction, and any other elite-driven violence and exploitation that threatens our future.
Those are on the books, and those are the subjects or issues openly discussed.
Yes.
What you do not know are those hidden subjects, right? Who benefits how much from what?
That's the problem.
Yeah,
because
that's
there's
the big problem.
always somebody
You
benefiting.
always talking about there's a core inside,
Right.
that they get benefit themselves, right, by exploiting us, and then they find themselves good excuses.
Yes.
For example, that's why people pay so much attention to how the home returning 3 Americans were treated at the airport the other night. You heard that? You saw?
Yes,
you saw the
from
TV,
Korea.
right?
There are
From
3
Korea.
Koreans which
Right.
were released.
Any comment? Well, we have a little time. Any comment on how Donald Trump handled that situation?
I got to hand it to Trump. He obviously arranged or has done well, and I congratulate him that he is going to meet Kim Jong-un. I also do believe, between you and me, that actually Kim Jong-un was told by China, look, relax, because we don't want any more tension. We have enough problems. And you see, China is, after all, After all, North Korea is...
Well, that guy has been on China's back for so long.
Right, yes.
It's time China dump him. And you know what? China's dumping him
Yes,
just to push the whole thing.
right,
He needs a mother,
right.
right?
Right.
So he came to United States.
Right, yeah. So I think this is an interesting development, and you remember that many months ago we had a show where I said there will never be war in North Korea and South Korea,
he
you
did say
remember?
that. He did say that, yeah.
And I said, why? And now you have the proof. But I think it's very nice, and I think for
China did a good thing to
Yes.
dump him.
and I'm very interested and very much looking forward how this meeting between Trump and Kim Jong-un is going to take place.
It's gonna be not gonna be open to the public for
You
everything.
don't think so?
Everything they discussed, because things are to be discussed are being exchanged on a day-to-day basis now.
Right.
Right. When they meet, is only a token. They shake hands. Ooh, whatever, big news. That's it. They met, and the details are discussed already. So
Yeah, but since both of them are quite unusual personalities, I think they could connect very well together.
I would take this opportunity if you allow me to share my thoughts about the moment
Oh, yes.
that Donald Trump handled the airport issue,
Yes.
with the airport, right? So I say, the way I see it, was that has nobody in the United States history, as the president of the United States, has given a civilian people, right, nameless, just like a small potato,
Right.
right, that kind of reception.
Right. Yes.
So he wants to deliver a message.
Yes. And he did.
Yeah, he
Again.
did. Number one, we won,
That's it.
right? And number two, this is how we the people, you call yourself we the people?
Yes.
This is how you the people are.
Being received by us, we the people.
Right, yeah.
I am we the people.
right?
I Trump.
So,
yeah, very clever.
And the moment he was at the landing of the staircase,
Yes.
he was offered to go first, and he backed up, notion the guy to go first, you know?
Yeah, very clever.
Lots of people give lots of comment to that.
Yes.
And the message delivered that, well, people first. I'm only a servant.
Yes.
The
Very
president said,
smart.
it's a very smart way.
Yes.
All right, very smart way. And I thought about saving Private Ryan, right? I thought the Iran hostage history, right? At no moment did the United States give up on its own citizen.
Right.
So he put it to the most extreme.
Yes.
I like that. I like
Yes,
that. yeah.
I do too. And I mean that, whatever you may have problems with Trump, there are some things where he's handling
Yeah,
himself
you're right.
very
You're
well.
right. Yeah, no, okay, very good, very good. I told my friend Ken Hemming. I said I told him many times. I said I was not a supporter at the very, very beginning, and I'm still not supporting him. But whatever he does, good, right? Does well. I never hesitate to give him a thumb up.
Right.
Right. Very good.
Ken Hemmings is not, Ken Hemmings is,
He's a Republican.
yeah, he's a Republican.
He's a Republican. But he's a good guy, very open-minded. He's quote unquote himself very constitutional. Okay.
He's
Okay.
also a philosopher.
Sure, philosopher.
Yeah.
Anyway, my dear friend, with Chris Nebe, we're having a good time, and I myself thank him for sharing the thought. Honestly, it was him who brought up the deep state issue. And the deep state issue already been there for many years. It was never been noticed by the public, right? And now we started to get a little taste about it, and we would later still bring you the deep state instance. So be ready for that. And to my audiences, thank you very much for watching. And to Chris, thank you very much for sharing.
谢谢你，谢谢你老朋友，
Good
谢谢
job.
你。
Good job.